A trade union is a group established by employees to protect and promote their interests and rights at work, to bargain with employers on matters such as pay, benefits, working conditions, and job security. Members of a trade union band together. Trade unions contribute to the equitable treatment and amplification of workers' voices. To achieve this, they bargain collectively on behalf of all of their members, which gives them a better negotiating position than if each worker tried to do it alone. Trade unions may assist employees in resolving conflicts, providing job training, and offering legal counsel in addition to bargaining with employers. Unions are crucial for enhancing working conditions, guaranteeing equitable compensation, and shielding employees from unjust treatment. Objective of trade union. As we know, there is thousands of TU in our country. Generally speaking, TU is there to promote the industrial, social and intellectual interest of members. This is the general objective of trade union. However, certain trade union carry out different objective for their member. We can take a look at the example that I prepared. First is Malayan Nurses Union, MNU, one of the earliest Malaysian trade unions that was established before the independence. Today, there are about 23,000 MNU members across the country, both females and male. We can see that the objective of the MNU is to protect nurses' welfare and appreciate their great contribution and sacrifice in the public healthcare sector. As we all know, nursing is a very challenging career. Nurses need to take up shift work at odd hours and fully concentrate their time and energy in saving people's lives. That's why we should pay extra attention to the welfare of health workers, especially nurses. Second example is the National Union of the Teaching Profession, NUTP, Malaysia's largest teachers' union, representing all categories of school teachers. The NUTP was established in 1974 to improve teachers' welfare and protect their rights. The union's objectives include professional development. The union supports continuous professional development and training for teachers to improve teaching standards and educational outcomes. To support this, NUTP do such as training and workshops. NUTP facilitates training programs and workshops that help teachers enhance their skills in technology integration, classroom management, and subject knowledge. The union recognizes that for teaching standards and educational outcomes to improve, teachers must have access to ongoing professional development opportunities. Another example is Electrical Industry Workers Union. Electrical Industry Workers Union is established in January 1971. It was around 1969 to 1970 that electrical industries were starting their operations in Malaysia. Electrical workers at the time had very few benefits, and they started the union as a way to find support. It is one of the way to advocate for better health and safety standards in workplaces, ensuring that members work in environments that are safe and conducive to their well-being. Panasonic was one of the electrical companies that started their operations in Malaysia. It was the first company organized by Electrical Industry Workers Union, EWU. EWU negotiated the first collective agreement with Panasonic in 1970s. Next, there are three types of trade unions: Public Sector Employees Union, Private Sector Employees Union, and Employers Union. In Malaysia, public sector unions are distinct from private sector unions, as they specifically represent employees within the civil service, statutory bodies, and local authorities. The nature of these unions is shaped by their roles in government service and the regulations governing their activities. For example, Congress of Unions of Employees in the Public and Civil Services, CUPAX, focuses on civil service employees. Trade unions in Malaysia's private sector are incredibly important for the representation of workers' interests in diverse industries. They are governed by the Trade Unions Act of 1959 and seek the establishment of fair labor practices, better wages, and improved working conditions. Although there is lesser density of unions in the privatized industries of Malaysia compared to the public sector, various influential unions have begun to thrive alongside the specific challenges of that sector. Next category is in-house. In-house, known as the trade union, are within the workers on same company or the same employee and employer. An in-house is a union that consists of all employees in the workplace in question. For example, Telecom BHD Employees Union and Tenaga Nasional Berhad Employee Union. In Malaysia, employees in the civil service, including those working in statutory bodies, are allowed to form and join unions under certain restrictions. These unions are organized specifically within the same ministry, department, or occupation to address employment issues unique to their respective sectors. For example, Malaysian Employers Federation, MEF, the largest and most prominent employer association in Malaysia, advocates for employer interests in labor law reforms and collective bargaining processes, provides services like legal advice, dispute resolution, and HR training to its members. Registration of trade union. This is process where a trade union applies for registration and a certificate of registration will be issued by the authority. Registration of trade union provides it with legal recognition and certain privileges to ensure that the union is a legitimate body that can represent workers in negotiations and disputes. The process begins with an application to the Registrar of Trade Unions. The application must include the union's name, objectives, and a list of at least 7 members. The union must submit a copy of its rules, which should cover aspects like membership, management, and fund usage. The registrar verifies the application and may ask for additional information or modifications. Once approved, the union receives a certificate of registration, granting it legal status. For example, a group of factory workers in Malaysia decides to form a trade union to address their grievances and improve working conditions. They hold an inaugural meeting attended by at least 7 members, who become the pro tem committee. For the deregistration of trade union. Deregistration of a trade union refers to the formal process of cancelling its legal registration, effectively stripping it of its status as a recognized trade union under applicable labor laws. Once deregistered, the union loses its legal rights and privileges, such as representing workers in negotiations or being a party to collective bargaining agreements. Deregistration can occur voluntarily or be enforced by the registrar. A union may apply for deregistration if it decides to dissolve or merge with another union. The registrar can deregister a union if it violates legal provisions, fails to submit annual returns, or engages in unlawful activities. The registrar issues a notice to the union, allowing it to respond before making a final decision. The consequences of deregistration are loss of legal status and privileges. The union can no longer represent workers in negotiations or disputes. Its assets are distributed according to its rules or as directed by the registrar. The example of deregistration of trade union: a trade union in Malaysia fails to submit its annual financial returns for 3 consecutive years. Despite multiple reminders from the registrar, the union does not comply. As a result, the registrar decides to deregister the union for failing to meet statutory obligations. To sum up, trade unions are crucial institutions that enable employees by bringing them together to fight for their rights and enhance working conditions. Unions use collective bargaining to get improved pay, employment stability, and equitable treatment for its members. They also shield employees from exploitation and offer legal assistance. All things considered, trade unions help to establish a more equal and balanced relationship between employers and employees, guaranteeing a safer and more just workplace for all.